Hello, everyone. I'm Eric D'Souza, and thank you for joining us today for another episode of Crime Writers of Canada's podcast. We are continuing our series of interviewing members of Crime Writers of Canada who have been nominated for an Award of Excellence in 2026. If anybody who watches or listens to this show on a regular basis, they probably already know who you are, Joel. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Joel, I've spoken to a few times. It is always a pleasure. I think you are going to be now the person I've spoken to the most about the same book by far. Reason being, though, 2 years ago, you were nominated for Best Unpublished, sponsored by ECW. We celebrated just about 6 months ago when it got published, and we're speaking again because you are now being on the short list for the best uh, first crime novel sponsored by Melodie Campbell. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. I know I've been here a few times, and we've talked about the Broken Detective and short stories and different things going on in the writing world. So um, it feels a little bit like a full circle moment for me, just with the unpublished nomination from 2023. That was a huge event in my life and in my writing career. And with the publication 6 months ago, and then now a short list for best first crime novel, I don't know, it feels good. I'm excited and glad to be back on the pod.
Um, I looked this up, and I'm sure it has happened, but it has not happened in recent history for somebody to be shortlisted for best unpublished, get published, and then be nominated a few years later for best first crime novel. So big congrats on that. I'm sure it's happened, but not in recent history. So what that really means is three independent judges liked it once, and three new independent judges liked it a second time. So that's six fans that you have, and I think that should be a reference to anybody listening, um, to say that kudos, you wrote a good book.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, I was wondering this year with putting the book in again, how exactly it would work, but I was familiar a little bit with that process of the independent readers and such from a few years back with the last nomination. So when I saw my name on the list, I was very excited, and whatever happens, I hope that the book is enjoyed by readers, or I can find some people who can relate to the character and the story and learn a little bit about my home city of Winnipeg in the process.
Well, let's start with Jake. We've spoken to him before, but I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Why is Jake broken?
Jake is broken, I think, ultimately due to events partially in his control and partially out of his control. So he grows up with parents who are both alcoholics, and it's not an abusive household in that they purposefully take out anything on him physically, but they definitely are neglectful, and part of that lands him in foster care where he does suffer abuse. And then as he moves out of that system, some of the choices he makes to kind of follow in his parents' footsteps and pick up some of the same bad habits, I think, create this warped philosophy that he has of survival, of that people are mostly out to harm each other, and it's something that I think he uses to justify the way that he lives. So ultimately, I feel like it's those experiences that have led to him as a broken young man.
At the beginning of the story, we find him broken. You don't actually paint him in the greatest of pictures. We find out he is going to jail, and we very quickly find out why. Um, and we also find out that he's not getting out of it. I think that's part of the charm of the story is there's no getting out of the ticking time clock that he's got 2 weeks. Could you tell us a bit about what he did?
Yeah, for sure. Part of Jake's story is that he still is in touch with his mom, not his dad, but with his mom he is, and his mom is still struggling with her own issues, and he takes care of her. He doesn't live with her, but he does support her financially, and he pays her bills. He basically makes sure she has food in the fridge, and they do have a love between them. And I think what happens, I guess, is that she is mixed up in a relationship with a man who hurts her. And Jake goes after that guy, and he ends up breaking the man's jaw. And as part of this philosophy that Jake has, he really has kind of a kill or be killed, or you hurt somebody I care about, I hurt somebody you care about philosophy. So it's this assault that Jake commits, as you mentioned, that he's been arrested for, he's going to jail for. He's not going to plead innocence on this. This is something he's going to prison for. So he has 2 weeks, thanks to his lawyer getting a suspended sentence, and the judge has agreed that he has 2 weeks to get his affairs in order, in so that when he goes into prison, his mom is able to live. So he has 2 weeks to make as much money as he can, and in those 2 weeks, he's hired, as he is a private investigator, he's hired to find a missing woman.
Um, I get why male writers, or sorry, male readers would like this story. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm a fan of Sam Weeb, AJ Devlin. If you're into Americans, like Lee Child, Preacher, the
Yeah,
big guy who can hold his own.
yeah.
Um, how, now your book's been out for a while. I'm sure that is not just men who have read your story. How has been the reaction from female readers? Like, obviously, there's still crime readers. They probably read Sue Grafton or Kathy Reich. Do they find Jake likable, or is it too rough around the collar for them?
You know what? I've had good feedback from women overall. I think that the part that I hear about from women who've read the book is just about some of the relationships, and the story is told mostly in the present with flashbacks that show how Jake has experienced the abuse in the foster system, and some relationships with his dad and his mom. So it's the relationships that they really tell me about, and just how they relate to how close he is with his mom, despite him not really getting what he needs from her, and just how they've developed this closeness as they've both tried to survive. And there is also a romantic relationship with a woman in the story that Jake gets involved with, and I've had some good feedback about that. Just it's hopefully it's a unique relationship where they're both characters, Jake and Nia, the young woman who he starts to see. They're trying to, I think, change, and they're trying to become somebody who is still themselves, while at the same time taking on this new, healthier persona. So I get the comment and the question for sure. There is a tough guy element to Jake, but I always saw him as someone who could like either fight you or read you a poem. And that's the way I like to think of Jake, as a tough guy with a soft side, and hopefully some intelligence behind the tough exterior.
Well, let's put a face on Jake then.
Okay.
We are playing a hypothetical game. Um, Automatically because of the name, I thought Jake Gyllenhaal. But
Yeah.
if Hollywood came a knocking, uh, let's say you even had a time machine, so it could be early Mickey Rourke or something like that.
Yeah.
Who would play? Who would be your dream to play Jake?
My dream, I mean, I've said all along, my dream would probably be Tom Hardy. He would have to be a bit younger, perhaps, because Jake in the book is 30 years old, and I think Tom Hardy in real life is a bit older. But maybe going back, I see somebody like that. I've always been a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal as well. I think any actor who can really show the complexity of Jake and how he does have a lighter side. And I think that's something that with the next book and the next books in the series, I'm going to explore a little more of that. I do see Jake as somebody who is serious. He definitely is a serious character, but underneath that, there is kindness. There is a sense of humor. So I think Tom Hardy be my top choice. If we were going back decades, I think somebody who I used to watch a lot of his movies when I was younger was Sean Penn. I always think the intensity that he brought to roles would transfer to some of the scenes in the novel well. Um, so yeah, any of those types of actor would do the role well.
So let's say hypothetical, one of those gentlemen chooses to make the role. They love it, but the director, producer are like, we just can't make it in Winnipeg. Anthony Badolko gets the same question about Saskatchewan, right? Central
Yeah,
Canada, like at least give me Toronto. But
yeah,
so if they're insistent that no, they have to go below the border, even like, it doesn't have to be LA, it could be like Detroit, the grittiness of
yeah,
Detroit. Would you say, like, and obviously they're giving you a lot of money, but Winnipeg is important. It's a big part of the city. We've talked about it.
yeah.
It's almost a character in this city. Would you do it?
That's a tough question. I like the purist in me. I know it's like I was always when I was younger, especially, I would hear stories like this, and I would just love it when an author refused to have their book adapted, or they just never would sign off. That was always so appealing to me. I guess maybe the young artist with the ethics to turn down the money appealed to me. And I think I definitely would. Like if a publisher had asked me to set the book somewhere else, I would have said no for sure. I think TV or movie is a little bit different. I would really have to see who was attached to the project, and I would push hard to keep it in Winnipeg. But there'd be a sliver of a chance that if it was in Detroit with good people attached, I might okay that. Although I hope, and I've gotten this feedback from people who have read it, that the city of Winnipeg is a part of the fabric of the story as well. And I think that Jake's mentality, um, the way he thinks about the city, he's very down on Winnipeg. He doesn't love where he's from. He feels like the city is a mirror of himself. It's broken. The same way he is, that nothing works, that the systems don't work, the people are, you know, just not um, happy, and this is part of what he has to change, is just his impression as well. So I know that's not a perfectly clear answer. That's a roundabout way of saying I'd probably keep it Winnipeg with a little bit of sliver depending on who is involved.
Martin Scorsese.
Oh, it's Scorsese. Then I think I have to move it for him. But I would still, though. It's interesting to see if you could keep that, like that, that perspective of the character. Like I know one of my favorite movies is still Mean Streets, one of one of the first Scorsese movies actually, and there's the characters in that are very conflicted internally as well. I think a lot of the conflict in that story is with their religious beliefs and whatnot. But I think if it was Scorsese, I might have to consider it.
I think all of us would. So
Yeah, I think all of
you're
us would. You'd
you're
have
not
to.
alone.
Yeah, you'd have to. Oh, yeah.
I was at your website. It's jnedecky.com. And you offered to give us two gritty Jake Jolson short stories if we sign up for your newsletter, which I believe I did years ago. Um,
Yep.
you cut your teeth on short stories. Are you still writing them, or now that you're a novelist, it's hard to go back?
Yeah, I'm definitely still writing short stories. I think less than I used to. I do have a few coming out recently though. One interesting one about maybe 6 weeks or 2 months ago. I got a message on Instagram that Otto Penzler was trying to get a hold of me, and I of course I knew the name Otto Penzler, and I looked it up and saw that he is a longtime person in the crime fiction mystery world, owns Mysterious Press, all that. And there was an email to get a hold of him. So of course I emailed him, and he was asking if he could put one of my short stories called Juror Number Three, that was published in a small magazine called Hoosier Noir at the beginning of 2025, and that he had selected my short story to be in Best Mystery Stories of 2026. After some investigation to see if it was real or if it was like an AI, trying to, I don't know, get something from me. It was real, and it was actually Mr. Penzler, and he sent me a contract right away. I signed it, and the short story will be coming out in September. Edited by Tess Gerritsen, is the author who is involved in that with Otto.
Wow, congrats. It's a very
Yeah,
nice
thank
feather in the
you.
cap.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm still writing short stories, not as much as I used to, but I still enjoy short stories.
It's been about 6 months since the book has been out. Now you are in the new world of hustling. It's the second, it's the second hat we all writers have to write. How is it going? It's not easy. I find it sometimes harder than writing the book.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that when I started writing, I just wanted to write a good book, and I was excited to work with editors or have anyone read it and give me feedback and just try to make the thing as good as it could be. And I think I've done that with The Broken Detective. I think it is not a perfect book by any means, but I think it is, I think it is a good quality story that has become as good as it can be. So finding readers is the major challenge. There's so much out there, and I don't even mean books. I just mean content in general. I think it's a known fact that streaming services like YouTube and TikTok and apps like that have taken a lot of attention from people, and even readers have now more options than ever. So it really is, I think, incumbent on the author and the publisher to do as much as they can, go on podcasts, talk to people, interviews, try to get your books in bookstores. I was very lucky to have a signing last weekend at the Indigo in Winnipeg, which was a first for me being there. So just getting out in the community, meeting people, I think is the challenge. And it's I enjoy parts of it. There's parts of it I do. I like meeting people and I like talking to them about books. That's always going to be, I think, enjoyable for me. The marketing side online is a little bit more challenging for me. I don't know if that's my strong point, but it's something that I think authors need to do a little bit of or a lot of in 2026.
Well, you have an advantage on us. You have like 25 to 35 um, students who have to read everything you give them. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay, is Project Detective like
yeah,
mandatory
yeah.
reading?
Oh, that would be. I'd be like one of those professors. I remember in university, you'd have a professor, and they would be teaching their book, and then everyone in the class had to go to the bookstore, of course, and buy the book and whatever else, right? But I can't do that, but definitely I've had some students ask me about the book, and they've seen different things around posted and this and that and whatnot. I work with the school has a program called the Scribbler, where every year, actually, it's our launch next week, where they collect students' submissions on short stories and poems and artwork and such. So that is going out next week, and some of the stories are incredible from high school students already. So yeah, it's something that you sort of see the next wave of people interested in literature.
That's excellent. I always like to end with what's next. Do we have to wait years for the next, uh, I don't know, Jake getting out of prison? Or are we going to see a lot of short stories? What are you working on?
I got the second book is a couple drafts in already. The second book, the follow up to The Broken Detective, it's called A Sacred Pause. And Jake gets out at the beginning, and of course he gets a new case, and he's off to the races on that. I don't have a publication date for it yet. I'm hoping 27 will be the year it comes out. Other than that, I'm working on a standalone novel as well, and then I have a couple short stories that I'm kind of playing with a little bit as well. So I'll always be writing. I'll always be working towards publication, and yeah, hopefully 27 we can get that second book out.
Fantastic. I can't wait. So congratulations once again, Joel.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that.